You can be qualified for a job and still get rejected before a recruiter fully reads your resume. That sounds unfair, but the first review is usually not a complete judgment of your ability. It is a rapid search for visible proof. If the recruiter cannot confirm the match quickly, your application may be treated like a weak match, even when the right experience is buried somewhere on page 2. So the real question is not only, can you do the job? It is also, can a busy reviewer recognize that you can do it without having to investigate? That is what the 15-second idea really means. It is not a universal stopwatch. Some recruiters spend longer, and software may influence which applications they see first. But early screening is still fast, because the recruiter is reducing a crowded applicant pool to a smaller group worth examining closely. Most recruiters are not beginning with a blank mind and asking, what makes this person interesting? They are comparing your application with a short set of requirements. Hiring systems can also search or filter candidates using signals such as job titles, skills, seniority, experience, and location. This creates a simple but uncomfortable rule. Recruiters cannot give you credit for evidence they cannot find. During the first screen, they are often trying to answer 5 questions. Does the candidate appear to match the role? Is there recent proof? Are the core skills visible? Are the practical constraints workable? Is there any obvious risk that needs too much explanation? Let's start with the first question, which is title match. Imagine a recruiter needs a customer success manager. One applicant's recent title is customer success manager. Another applicant did almost identical work, but has the title client happiness partner. The second person may be equally qualified, but the connection takes more effort to understand. Do not change an official job title into something false. Instead, add accurate context. You might write, Client Happiness Partner, Customer Success Function. You can also use a targeted headline above your experience. A weak resume headline would be, Experienced Professional Seeking New Opportunities. That says almost nothing. A stronger version would be, Customer Success Manager with SaaS onboarding, renewals, and account expansion experience. Now the reviewer knows your target level, function, industry context, and 3 relevant areas of work. Your LinkedIn headline should perform the same job. If it only says Client Happiness Partner at company name, recruiters searching by role or skill may not immediately connect you with customer success positions. The second question is recent proof. Recruiters usually want evidence that you have performed relevant work, not merely studied it, assisted near it, or listed it in a skills section. Suppose you are applying for a project manager role. Your summary says you are organized, collaborative, and results-driven. Those claims are easy to write. The recruiter then looks at your most recent position and sees 5 bullets about attending meetings, preparing documents, and supporting the team. The application feels weaker than the candidate may actually be. The fix is to move your clearest evidence upward. Your first bullet under the most relevant job should prove one of the role's major requirements. Weak wording sounds like this: responsible for helping with several projects and communicating with stakeholders. A stronger version would be coordinated 6 client implementation projects from kickoff through launch, tracked deadlines, and resolved handoff issues across sales, operations, and support. That sentence gives the recruiter scope, ownership, process, and context. If you have a truthful result, add it. If you do not have a useful number, specificity still helps. Name what you delivered, who was involved, and what problem you handled. If you want more practical explanations for resumes, interviews, LinkedIn, and career changes, subscribe. The goal here is to make the hiring process easier to understand and easier to act on. The third screening question is whether the core skill is visible. This is where qualified candidates often blame an applicant tracking system for everything. Software can parse resumes, organize applications, search for terms, and help recruiters filter or prioritize candidates. LinkedIn Recruiter also allows searches based on titles, locations, skills, and other criteria. But the practical lesson is not to stuff your resume with every keyword you can find. It is to use the employer's language when that language accurately describes your experience. If a job repeatedly asks for financial forecasting, but your resume only says planning support, the reviewer may miss the connection. If the posting says Salesforce and your resume says only CRM, you have hidden a valuable match. A weak skills section might say communication, leadership, teamwork, problem solving, and Microsoft Office. Those terms are broad, common, and unsupported. A stronger version for a sales operations role might say Salesforce, pipeline reporting, territory planning, sales forecasting, Excel, and dashboard development. Then prove the most important skills in your experience. A skill list tells the recruiter what you claim. A work example tells the recruiter why the claim is credible. Your LinkedIn profile needs the same consistency. Relevant skills may be recognized from your skills section, headline, summary, job descriptions, and other profile text. Do not mention a core skill once and assume it is obvious. Connect it to a role and an outcome. For example, replace experienced with data analysis with used SQL and Tableau to investigate product adoption trends and build weekly reporting for customer success leaders. The fourth question is whether the practical constraints work. These constraints can include location, workplace type, schedule, compensation, travel, licensing, or work authorization when relevant and legally requested. A recruiter may like your experience, but still hesitate if your profile says Miami while the job is on-site in Chicago. They do not know whether you missed the location, expect remote work, or plan to relocate. If you are genuinely relocating, make that easy to see. Near your contact information, you could write relocating to Chicago in October or Chicago relocation planned. On LinkedIn, update your location and job preferences when appropriate. Do not claim to live somewhere you do not, but do remove unnecessary uncertainty. Salary works differently. You generally do not need to place a salary expectation on your resume. But when an application or recruiter asks, give a clear answer that leaves room for the complete package. Weak wording would be, I need at least $110,000 or I'm not interested. A more useful version would be, based on the role as described, I'm targeting a base salary in the $105,000 to $115,000 range, though I'd like to understand the full scope and total compensation. Use a range you can honestly accept. The goal is not to avoid the question forever. It is to prevent an unnecessarily rigid answer from ending a conversation before both sides understand the role. The fifth question is obvious risk. Risk does not automatically mean something bad about you. It means the recruiter sees a question that has not been answered. A career changer may look unproven. A senior candidate applying for a lower-level role may look likely to leave. A resume gap may create uncertainty. Several short jobs may raise questions about stability. A long list of responsibilities without results may suggest limited ownership. You do not need to write an autobiography defending every decision. You need one clear bridge. Suppose a teacher is moving into corporate learning and development. A weak summary would be, teacher looking to transition into the corporate world and try something new. That focuses on what the candidate wants and makes the employer translate the experience. A stronger version would be, learning and development specialist with 7 years of experience designing instructor-led training, assessing learner progress, and improving training materials for varied audiences. That wording does not hide the teaching background. It translates it into evidence connected to the target role. For a gap, a simple entry such as family care leave 2024 to 2025 may be enough if you are comfortable including it. For a level change, your summary might say, operations leader pursuing an individual contributor role focused on process improvement and analytics. The explanation should reduce uncertainty, not create a larger story. There is also a sixth factor running underneath all 5 questions. It is readability. If your top section contains a long objective, a dense paragraph, decorative graphics, and a list of 20 skills, the recruiter has to work harder to identify the match. A visually impressive resume can still fail as a screening document. The top third should answer 4 things quickly. What role do you perform? At what level? In what relevant environment? What proof supports the claim? A practical summary might sound like this. Business analyst with 4 years of experience supporting insurance operations. Skilled in requirements gathering, process mapping, SQL analysis, and stakeholder workshops. Helped redesign a claims workflow that reduced manual review steps and improved case tracking. Notice what is missing. There is no claim about being passionate, dynamic, hardworking, or uniquely motivated. Those words do not reduce uncertainty. Evidence does. This also explains why sending the same resume to 50 different jobs often produces silence. A generic resume may contain your whole history, but it does not control what the reviewer notices first. Tailoring is not rewriting your career for every application. It is changing the emphasis. Start with the job description and identify the few requirements that appear central to the work. Then check whether your headline, summary, first experience bullets, and skills section show those requirements using accurate language. Remove details that compete with the target. Before you apply, run a first screen test. Look only at the top half of your resume for 15 seconds. Can you identify the target role? Can you find recent proof? Can you see the core skills? Are location and other major constraints clear? Is any career change, gap, or level shift explained briefly? Does the LinkedIn headline support the same professional story? Then ask one final question. If a recruiter knew nothing about me, what would they have to guess? Every important guess is a possible rejection point. Replace it with a short label, a relevant example, or a clear sentence. Being qualified is essential, but qualification alone does not guarantee attention. Your application must make the qualification visible in the order a reviewer is likely to check it. Clear title, recent proof, relevant skills, workable constraints. No unexplained risk. If you have a resume or LinkedIn question, leave it in the comments and tell me which job search problem you want explained next.